G's, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hearing that racket. Dots came and you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Adam Caplan, the voice in your ears with AC Radio. Fresh off that Cory Sandhagen versus Chito Vera and David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. So for my boxing heads out there, make sure to read those timestamps below if you want to skip through that MMA stuff, because at AC Radio, we could do the boxing and the MMA. And if you're not interested in MMA because you think it's guys rolling around in their underwear or whatever the case may be, make sure that you read those timestamps so that you can get to your boxing needs. So let's get right into it because we're starting with MMA. Cory Sandhagen, in my opinion, 50-45 over Chito Vera. Fucking unbelievable that it was a split decision. The judge that thought that Chito won 2 rounds, it's absolutely absurd. I understand that the cut of Cory Sandhagen, you know, on his pale skin and his ginger-esque hair, kind of like mine, but on the face, shows from the optics. But let's be honest here, Cory Sandhagen controlled that fight. I don't care if he was maybe the more bloodied one of them all. We've seen that time and time again that doesn't mean anything. Cory Sandhagen fought a more conventional style, you know, didn't fight with those notes of Dominic Cruz that I thought he would have. He actually matched a little bit of Chito's conventional style and worked it to his advantage. His boxing was on point, the leg kicks in the first 2 rounds. Chito let too many free shots occur on him. He gave Cory Sandhagen way too many free shots with those leg kicks, way too many free shots with the boxing and letting Cory work his jab. I just thought that Cory looked fantastic in there, and that's the beauty of the Sandman. When he shows up on the night, he looks like one of the best fighters in the bantamweight division. And that is the story of the bantamweight division. We saw it in Merab Dvalishvili. You see that? I've been working on it. And we also saw it in Cory Sandhagen, you know, and we've seen it with Aljamain Sterling. And, you know, it's just unbelievable that when these bantamweights show up on the night, any one of them could be the fucking champion of the world. And listen, man, even the wrestling of Cory Sandhagen showed up. Took down Chito Vera a few times. Yeah, Chito made him pay with those elbows, which is probably why maybe perhaps that judge gave Chito some rounds because he felt that damage had shown more. But the story of the night was the Sandman. 50-45 in AC's opinion, a phenomenal performance, clearly showed that he's a well-rounded fighter and he's been working on every aspect of his game, his strengths and his weaknesses, and has improved on all of them. And if I'm Sugar Sean, you know, I'm hoping that Cory Sandhagen shows up against Merab Dvalishvili, and I'll tell you why. Because AC said that the winner of Chito Vera and Cory Sandhagen is indeed going to fight Merab, because Merab is the Georgian machine who doesn't sit on the shelf and wants to go out there and stay active and prove why he's one of the best bantamweights in the world. And that's why he was going to fight Cory Sandhagen next, or Chito Vera. Cory Sandhagen gets on the mic, calls out Merab Dvalishvili. Merab is standing up on his chair next to Aljamain Sterling in San Antonio, Texas, flexing to the crowd, showing that he's ready to take on Merab Dvalishvili. Cory Sandhagen, and I'm looking forward to that. Merab versus the Sandman, the Georgian machine versus the Sandman, however you want to pronounce it or cut it, sign me the fuck up. I'm looking forward to that one. When that's going to happen, I'm not sure. But like I said, if I'm Sugar Sean, if I'm successful against the winner of Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling, I'm licking my lips hoping that my first defense is going to be against Cory Sandhagen and not Merab Dvalishvili. But there's a lot of things that need to happen before Sugar could really even worry about that. So congratulations to the Sandman. Looked unbelievable in there, and I'm looking forward to what comes in the bantamweight division, because it is absolutely money. And I got to say, Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez for the interim super middleweight title was a friggin' fight to see. You know, Caleb Plant implemented his game plan so well for those first 5 rounds, moving around the ring like a true boxer, beautiful notes of even a Muhammad Ali in there, the way he was backing up and posting that jab. And I'm going to get absolutely roasted for this, because it's like, how could you ever compare Caleb Plant to the great Muhammad Ali? But seriously, the way that he was backing up and popping that jab a couple of times, showing notes of it, I was really impressed with that. And then also, unlike the Canelo fight, was doing 3-4 defensive movements while sitting on the back foot instead of just 1 or 2, because that's what made him pay in the later rounds against Canelo, was being lazy off the back foot. In the first 5 rounds, Caleb Plant had 4 or 5 defensive moves for even only one of David Benavidez' singular punches. So he was on his grizzy, on his grind for those first 5 rounds. But holy shit, the Mexican monster, the boogeyman, the size of the guy, the way he cuts off the ring, loved what he was doing in the clinch. Kenny Bayless is a referee who's quick to break up the clinch. When Caleb Plant was boxing the head off of Benavidez in the first few rounds and then clinching up, a nice classic old school move, David Benavidez was getting frustrated. So what did he make sure to do? He made sure to throw a hook or throw an overhand right as soon as the clinch had happened. And he was throwing it nice and narrow, similar to how Mike Tyson used to throw it, so that if he didn't hit you with his fist, he hit you with his forearm or his elbow. And that was a beauty to see. And that was one of the things that really changed the momentum of the fight, was how the Mexican boogeyman, or the Mexican monster, was quick in that clinch, throwing those hooks, throwing those overhand rights. Maybe a couple headbutts, but that would happen when there was a little bit of clash of action that clouded the vision of Caleb Plant. But ultimately, the way that David Benavidez was able to kind of switch up that momentum in the clinch was really impressive to see, because we didn't see the usual Benavidez in there throwing off these 10, 15, 20 punch combinations. A lot more patient, utilizing his footwork more, cutting off the ring, making Caleb Plant feel the size and the strength of Benavidez in each and every clinch. When you're a professional boxer and you're not used to wrestling and you're not used to boxing and you're forced to have to clinch with the bigger, stronger body in the boxing ring, it eats into your lactic acid. Hell, it eats in the wrestling mats. It eats in the octagon. So if you don't think it's going to eat at you in the boxing ring when you're not a grappler, it will. And that's what was starting to show, is that with each and every clinch where David Benavidez was able to lean on him and then utilize a big hook or an overhand right, he was starting to slow down and spark out Caleb Plant. And, the momentum switched after the 5th or 6th round. David Benavidez took over. Caleb Plant started to divert from the game plan, fighting on the inside, trying to go, dog mode against David Benavidez, which just isn't the way to beat him. It wasn't the way, which is why David Benavidez was indeed successful. And congratulations to him. Caleb Plant is still a heck of a fighter, an amazing boxer. He will absolutely be back, but would like to see him take some time off and would like to maybe see 1 or 2 warm-up fights, just to get him back in the game, back on the winning streak. Because now he's got 2 big losses against 2 tough and some of the best Mexican fighters and boxers in the world. And I would just love to see him get back on his winning ways, maybe perhaps a couple of warm-up fights, which I hate to use the term a warm-up fight because there's no such thing. Anything could happen in there. But, he's just having trouble showing us that he's a 12-round fighter. And I hate to say that because he's world-class, but that was one of the holes in his game. So we got to find a way to get Caleb Plant a couple of fights for the most amount of rounds, with perhaps maybe just toning down the level of competition. And what I mean by level of competition is just maybe we don't have to fight for a major belt, So congratulations to David Benavidez, who calls out Canelo Alvarez. And let's get it done in September, man, because that would be a phenomenal fight. David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. Could you believe that? They should do it in Mexico City, maybe do it in Guadalajara, do it in Dallas, Texas. Some of these markets, obviously anywhere in Mexico, the thing sells out. But even in the United States, a couple of these markets like Dallas, basically anywhere in Texas, perhaps, Las Vegas, obviously, you got to put that fight together. I think that would be fantastic. And it's just amazing to see how sometimes when we're watching the fights, sometimes the UFC completely outshines boxing. And then once in a while, and I hate to say it because, MMA is just on absolute fucking fire. But once in a while, when we get 2 real world-class boxers in there showing what the sweet science is all about, going all 12 rounds, showing that warrior spirit, there's just nothing better, man. There's just something about it that is great. Hopefully I don't get roasted on comparing notes of Caleb Plant to Muhammad Ali, but it is what it is, baby. Hope you enjoyed the episode, because the next one we have coming for you, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, number 752. Just joking. Number 2 in the UFC, number 5 in general. Israel Adesanya is down 3-0 to Alex Pereira. I'm looking forward to previewing that one. And then we have Jorge Gamebred Street Jesus Masvidal versus Gilbert Durinho Burns, a fantastic co-main event fight. I can't wait for that one. So stay tuned. The next few weeks, we're only going to be releasing one episode a week. My man Brett is getting his shine on in Cuba. So we're condensing the schedule a little bit. Don't be alarmed. We're getting ready back in action because that one-year show, April 9th, I'm going to be recapping Israel versus Pereira, and that one's going to be an absolute fucking banger. So stay tuned. Have a good Tuesday or a good Monday because AC is in your ears or on your eyes. We're out.
Big cheese, no design on my jacket. Work hard, now I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Dots came in, you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slow.